Hey everybody, before we get started, I just want to remind you this episode is brought to you by our patrons like Adam the Harp, Aga Comics, Aka Kazume, Architect 10, Blixta G, Carlos, Qua, Dragon, Ferris, Jeremy Vasquez, Jonathan Sandoval, Kylie Denton, Legendary Boss Hunter, Liam Kessler, Regent Raptor, Rogue Robin, Sharvor, Shiny P, some guy named Bob, Soda Son Overtuver, and Cyber23. If you like what you do want to see us do more, consider posting to Patreon. You get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies that helps us out. Thank you for your support, everybody. Hello and welcome back to Let's Talk FGO Wanted, the second part of the Summer Splash Edition. Because it's summer. Get it? Anyway, this is going to be like the last one of these. It's going to be short and to the point for reasons. If you don't understand that, go back a couple weeks, week and a half, whatever, and watch the previous Wanted. It's about the first banner of Summers. Check it out. It's great. Also watch Wanted Merlin if you haven't already. It's old though. So, today, we will be going over the servants in the reverse order I made the assets once again. Okita, Melt, then Artoria. This will mostly be mechanics and rate-up chances, but we can throw in some other stuff in there, you know? Just get in, get out, do the thing, talk about these servants. Summers usually have some interesting mechanics, so there'll be some stuff to talk about. All right, let's jump on into that pool. And so we begin here. Okita finally got her swimsuit. She's Okita J Soji. The J stands for Jet, by the way. So, she is a 4-star assassin now, and I hope you don't need a new assassin for 2 years. Anyway, so, Okita J's attack stat is in the rough middle of her strike zone for 4-star assassins, but her HP is the lowest for her bracket. Yeah, we're starting there. Low HP. Quick. Arts. Buster. So, full quick deck. She has high hit counts and NP gain, so she should still generate fairly good NP, because quick cards also have an NP gen element to it. It's not as good as Arts, but it's there, so with her NP gain being so high, it's 0.8, you should still get a decent charge out of those quick cards with like 5 hits. Pretty spicy. So, her NP is an AoE quick, which strips defensive buffs from the target. This is after it hits, though, so watch out for that. And it lowers their defense based on overcharge for 3 turns, but it has a 60% chance to stun Okita when used. This is only 3 hits, so it's not a super loop fest, okay? That said, this will set Summer Okita's tone of demerits. Because, yeah, you're going to have to deal with this a lot. But, yeah, the overall NP, it's pretty basic. Big damage because it's an AoE quick, so high damage multiplier, strips defensive buffs, lowers defense. So her first skill gives her 1 turn of 50 to 100% critical strength and star weight up, with a 4-turn minimum cooldown. So that means you can do this every 4 turns. You can do this sweet crit buff. But it removes a defensive buff when used. So obviously, use it when you don't have defensive buffs, and you'll be fine, but still, demerits. Her second skill, Mind's Eye Jet, gives her 1 turn of evade and 1 turn of sure hit, and 3 turns of 10 to 20% NP power-up. See? Delightworks is learning lessons. This is also your evade, and also arguably an NP steroid type effect. You want sure hit on that NP first. But it also gives you 3 turns of 10 to 20% NP power-up, so, you know, that's good. It's good for the longevity. Her final skill is an explosive 30 to 50% quick up, the full green mana burst, for 3 whole turns. But, yes, there's a lot of the buts in this. There's also a lot of buts in this. It gives her a descending, delayed effect on her defense, which counts as a buff, by the way, so debuff removal doesn't get rid of it. Where basically every turn her defense goes down a little bit more for 3 turns. It starts at 10%, then 30%, then 50%. So it adds up to she's taking, you know, roughly 50% extra damage. Her defenses are effectively halved on that 3rd turn. So it's a little spicy, but you get big, quick gains out of it. Her passive skills also have some added demerits as well. She has Presence Concealment B, I should say, and Magic Resistance C. But both of these also reduce her death resist by 10%. So she's a little resistant to debuffs on the outside. She has good star gen, but death resist is down. She also has, you know, the outside of the domain effect, the outer entity effect, E for a little bit of stars per turn, 2 per turn, and the debuff resist, like 2% extra. A little bit extra debuff resist. So basically what this all means is that Okita is the glassiest of cannons. Her skill balance gives her several turns, arguably, of hard hitting, possibly a full NP big crit NP cycle, because remember, her NP gain is big, and she's got 3 quick cards, with high buffs which offset her otherwise average attack. I mean, when you're looking at 30% quick up, quick up, and then also the defense down on her NP, which you can possibly stacked, you can get some serious damage output. Of course, all of this comes with a risk. She lowers her own defense on her preciously low HP, she removes her own defenses, and is a arguably high, I know technically 60% is a low chance, but 60% for a self-stun is a high chance of stunning herself. So she needs heavy babysitting. Or you just have her run into the enemy with a jetpack and use Chengong to shuffle her off this mortal coil. More on that later. So for CEs, quick is the name, and the game will be CEs that buff it. One Summer is a very good start. That's the one from CCC, which is 50% gauge, 10% NP damage, and 10% quick up. And other future Sakura Phase CEs, Cherry Icicle, Imaginary Number, Attribute, etc., also work if you can wait on them. They're not out yet, but this will be a recurring theme. If you see Sakura in a CE, it's usually quick related. Also, if you want to try and double Scotty so you don't need any starting charge, consider powerhouses like Imaginary Round, Dangerous Beast, or Decapitating Bunny. But are you actually going to do that? I don't know. So for team comp, right, Okita is obviously quick. 3 quick cards, quick NP. So a Scotty won't hurt you. And I gotta be real, I don't know the math. At super high NP levels, she might actually loop. Her NP gain is really high, even though her NP is only like, 3 hits? Yeah. So, it's I don't know how that works out. Just don't expect it casually, like at only a couple NP levels. That said, Scotty still has the juice you need. She has the big batteries, she has enhancements for Okita's 3 normal quick cards, and if you actually use Scotty's NP, I know, shocking, it will ameliorate some of Okita's debuff problems. It makes you immune to instant death, for instance, so that's not a problem if that's going to come up, right? So consider it anyway, even if you can't do crazy loops, she'll help keep Okita flowing and alive and keep the loop. Other than that, you're looking for your usual suspects for quick friends. Regular Osakaba Hime can provide you with the appropriate buffs and short defenses. Wu Zetian actually works as a second attacker in this setup. She has a quick attack charisma buff. And characters like Summer Skahak and Summer Nito, though Nito is more arts, do have taunts, so Okita can not die. Just think along these lines and you'll find your friends, right? People who will prevent Okita from dying and will give her the buff she needs. You might also consider allies who have debuff cleanse or debuff immunity to protect Okita from a stun, or just use an appropriate mystic code and take care of it yourself. Also, not kidding about Chengong, by the way. He has a targetable taunt and the defensive tactician skill, so you can actually, keep her alive a little bit. And if Okita, or when Okita, actually stuns herself, you can just move her out of the way in a second explosion. It's a thought. Alright? So, yeah. Okita, tricky to use, requires a little bit of specific setup. Big damage gains if you can pull it off correctly. And like I said, with those quick cards and the other effects, you can probably get very good critical damage out of that, and which will hopefully go you to another NP. Now, Ascension materials shouldn't be too troublesome, unless you've got too many Summers, but skills are going to hurt you. She needs 12 shells, 12 cores, and 40 metals per skill, plus some other junk, so that's going to be a little bit pricey. Watch out for it, alright? And, of course, rate-ups are like the rest of Summers this year, there's the rerun next year, there's the weird Lucky Bag thing in 5, and also, I think that was year 5, was that weird AoE Summer banner for the AoE ones, which all of these are. Anyway, keep it in mind. And that's Okita, so let us move swiftly on. Alright, now we are talking about Summer Melt. Sorry, Mysterious Alter Ego Lambda, who is a new Lancer 4-star. She has median attack and slightly low HP, like not the lowest, but definitely in the bottom 5 of HPs. Oh, this is hilarious. I just realized this in my notes. I accidentally wrote down that she's quick, arts, buster. Yeah, you heard that here. Summer Melt has 6 command cards. No. The information is correctly displayed on the screen. I guess I just accidentally typed 2 B's at the end. So she's double up on quick and arts, slightly unusual for Lancers. Her arts hit counts are a little low, so her NP gain is relatively high. This is a pretty particular theme. They don't want to go overboard with giving her NP gain because of reasons. But she has pretty good NP gain and low hit counts. So her NP is an AoE arts, which ignores defense, and if she is on a water field, strips evades. It also gives her 20 to 40% stars based on overcharge. So, enemies don't get dodges, they get blasted. And she gets big stars. Well, the team gets stars, but you know what I mean. So, pretty normal stuff. But, her first skill is pretty crazy. So this is a 10 to 20% arts up for 5 turns, with a 4-turn minimum cooldown. So hypothetically, you can stack this. On that last turn, you can go up to 40% arts. It's pretty crazy. You have to invest heavily in this, obviously, but even so, a 5-turn arts buff, pretty sweet. At the very least, if you get it so the cooldown gets a first reduction, you will get the somewhere in the middle there. I don't know exactly what that level would be. You can see it on screen, though. To make it so she has an indefinite arts buff. Pretty solid. Will increase the fact that her attack, like I said, is middling, and those arts card hit counts are middling. Her second skill gives her 1 turn invul, and same turn of 50 to 100% buff removal resist, and also changes the field to water for 3 turns. So yes, she has a water-dependent NP, and the ability to change the field to water for 3 turns, which is good, because it gives you multiple turns to do multiple NPs, or just gives you the freedom to pop her invul and not worry about the thing. Now, the final skill, Melt Envy, is the complicated one. So, first effect it does, Melt eats 20 to 30% battery from other party members, and then gains the amount she drained. This is exact, or so I am told. So if you have 0%, she gets nothing, and if you have a weird number like 29 instead of 30, she gets 29. Got it? Okay. So this is, the interesting back and forth. It also increases her star absorption for 1 turn, and gives her 1 turn of 30 to 50% attack up. So big attack gain. And also siphons off those batteries. It's like Melt Virus, but better, because arguably less fucky. Passives are Magic Resistance B, Riding C, Independent Action EX Big Crits, and Goddess Core C, plus a useless-ass High Servant A that I didn't even jot down because it doesn't do anything. So with Goddess Core and Magic Resistance, by the way, she's going to be pretty debuff resistant. Independent Action EX means those crits are going to be big. And basically what your strategy here is, Melt is an arts crit murder machine. With low hits, she's probably not intended to fully loop without some major assistance, but she can remove enemy evades, she can pierce defensive buffs, and she has high damage buffs, and can do some pretty big crit follow-ups, with those ability to absorb stars, and then also her interesting, independent action for like 12% flat. She also has a pretty decent hard defense. It probably will not be stripped if you have it at its maximum. It's a 1-turn invul. It's pretty nice. It's only like 6-turn cooldown, so it's not crazy. And she can control terrain types. Water is a very popular one, by the way. So she can go in some interesting comps. For CEs, you have a couple of interesting choices. Since her third skill is technically a 60% battery, you can stick her with a 50% charge art CE, like Dive to Blue, etc., etc. I recommended a lot of these, by the way. Check out Last Wanted. Alternatively, you might get very funny and apply her with servants who have their own batteries or starting CEs and then slurp up the difference so you can give her straight up shit like Formal Craft. For instance, Double Merlin. Both Merlins charge everybody for 20%, so Melt gets 40% off them, and then she eats 30% off both of them, which they have, and gets 60%, so that's 100. Like, you can do 100% NP charge that way. That's the only thing Double Merlin is good for on Melt, but it's funny. Also consider CEs, which drop stars right away. That's Golden Carp primarily, but there's a couple of other excellent CEs in the future for this, to maximize her weight grab on that Melt Envy, but otherwise, just do NP damage and arts output for something, Formal Craft, whatever. Think about your funny haha memes. So for team comp, you want arts and you want charge, because she doesn't have any batteries of her own other than Melt Envy, so you gotta go lots of distances. Extra hoops, basically. Waver goes a long way with his 20% team battery, which means Melt can easily steal 40% more from allies, plus he's got another 30% targetable. His deck and NP also gives you plenty of arts cards for blue chains, and Melt honestly won't mind the attack, defense, and critical up either. Sima Yi works for similar reasons. And for arts, obviously, you can bring a Tamamo or Paracelsus, and I would like to point out, Paracelsus himself has a large self-battery Melt can easily mooch off of. It's like 50 to 80, I think, or maybe it's 40 to 80. Anyway, it gives her plenty enough that off him alone, she can slurp it up. Sadly, not a lot of synergy with Lancers. So, Fionn has an NP gain up for team and can tank hits for Melt, and Liz has her spicy sadistic charisma modifier, but otherwise it's mostly Buster and Quick units with not a lot of team support. In the future, you might try some weird combos with Romulus, Cronus, or Vishra, but mostly it's other supports. And obviously, blah blah Castoria blah. You're tired of hearing it. Melt have blue card, Castoria do goo. So her Ascension is relatively mild. You guys might find 10 soaps a little pricey, but other than that, perfectly normal. Skills is where you die. So 12 shells again, and also 20 permafrost, and then also 8 eggs per skill. It's nuts. It's crazy. Melt, why do you need so much ice? You are water. Don't you freeze? I swear, there was a Daily Melt about this. Anyway, she's got the same rate up shtick too, so keep an eye on that, and have fun. Go crazy. And then, last but not least, we are expanding the Artoria Dominion, now with a limited ruler, because of course it's limited. God, there's so many limited rulers, oh my gosh. Now, as you might expect from both a Ruler and an Artoria, she has low attack, but also the highest HP of Rulers currently. Even John doesn't have as much HP as Ruler Artoria. It's a lot of HP. There's a lot of fluff in there, okay? So, she's the quick Arts Buster. So she's got higher hit counts, so pretty decent NP gain. Like, it's slightly offset. It's on the higher end. It's 5.7, or 0.57, I should say. 5.7, whatever. However you choose to identify that percentile. She's got 4 hits on her Arts cards and 4 hits on her Quick cards and a 5-card extra, so it's actually functional. You just need to get the right chains and combos.
That's hard for reasons.
You know what I'm saying? So her NP is a AoE buster and refunds her 20% NP battery. Pretty typical Artoria stuff. It also gives all her card colors a 20 to 40% buff for the turn first based on overcharge. So it's a Buster steroid, but also a Quick and an Art steroid the same turn. So basically you want a Brave Chain on her NP turn, ideally. Other than that, fairly normal. Her first skill gives her a 20 to 40% battery, 1 turn of evade, and then as a Mana Burst Jewel type effect, after 1 turn, it gives her 20 to 30% attack for 1 turn. Only a little bit of attack steroid, but it is on a battery and evade, so. Now, her second skill is basically the Mystic Code Shuffle effect, but with a 30 to 50% team crit on it for 3 turns as well. But apparently that wasn't enough, because as of the rerun, she gets the buff. So this gets upgraded to the next letter rank. It not only does that old stuff, but it also now adds the fact that a targeted ally's command cards will not appear after the shuffle, so you get to pick a person and say, your cards, go away. And also allies get 20 to 30% NP gain for a little bit. Just 1 turn. Not a big deal. And also they reduce its cooldown by 1 turn. But for the Mystic Code, you have to wait 12 turns for that to refresh. How bullshit is that? Anyway, obviously on a Servant, the shuffle itself wasn't doing enough, so they gave it some more fun stuff we'll talk about when talking about her strategies. Her final skill is very simple. It gives her a 20 to 40% attack up for 1 turn and also increases her star weight. So if you're using her with other high star units, she will get her weight. Her passives are just Magic Resistance A, very typical on Rulers, and Territory Creation B. So like I said, that Arts card will be surprisingly goo. Now, like a lot of Rulers, Buntoria here is a deceptive hitter. Her damage output is almost always higher than you think because, 1, against most enemies, she's dealing neutral damage, and she has a potential 70% attack increase plus a minimum 20% card up on her NP. She also has a couple of tricks to actually gain NP. You won't be one-shotting bosses outside of, like, bonus damage and shit, but you can get some surprising kills on adds, and with Ruler Resistances, you can really grind down some enemies. Because remember, if you can get that Mana Burst Jewel type effect to go off, plus her just attack steroid skill, you're looking at a solid 70% attack up, and then 20% buster up on her NP. Actually, if you can get stars on her, and then do the crit up as well, and get the Brave Chain, that's a lot of damage. It's a very decent damage output. So, of course, being an AoE ruler, you're just as likely to treat Artoria as the support piece as the actual damage-dealing piece. She has a team critical up and a team NP gain in future buffs, which are tied to a unique card manipulation ability, especially after the buff. You can use this when she has support units or is acting as support for an ST hitter to remove unwanted card combos from the hand. Since these are all fairly generic, you can slot her in wherever you think you need those weird powers. Wherever that card shuffle will do you good, you can put her in and she'll do okay. Because her actual team-related buffs are generic. If you want to support her output, of course, you have Merlin. He has his big increases to attack, critical, and max HP, as well as the ability to generate both NP and healing, all of which go very well on Artoria. She's got that big HP pool, those ruler resistances, a little bit of healing won't do any good, and you don't mind stalling out some stuff, right? Osakaba Hime, the vanilla version, will also do pretty well, buffing both Buster and Crit. Sorry, Quick. Crit's also in there, but my note says Quick. Also, the summer version might work out a little bit too, you never know. There are also a decent trend in fellow AoE busters with team-wide buffs, see above, which can enhance everybody's damage outputs. Also consider pairing her with additional star generators. Since she's got that weight buff, you don't need to worry about, like, if, say, you know, Drake fires an NP to clear a wave, and then you have Artoria take over, that Drake's going to eat all the stars, because you can hopefully get that star weight back. Still very decent. So now we're going to talk about CEs, because I wanted to get at that whole support versus attacking thing first. For CEs, you can obviously use K-Scope. Her battery skill starts at 20%. There are also a couple of CEs with 60% starting NP. They're usually on anniversary banners or New Year's or something, but you can find them. They're out there when max limit broken. You'll want to focus on Buster crit output for the most part. She does have that all-color buff on her NP, but mostly you'll want either crit turns or just to slap harder with her NP. After all, her extra attack buff is delayed, so you may be using it at weird times because it's also her evade. Basically, just focus on those areas, you'll do all right. Skills and Ascensions are dangerous because she is a ruler, so she uses 5 of everything. This will either be easy. Oh, just 5 statues of every color, that's fine. Easy peasy. No weird Ascension materials. Or incredibly punishing. See, needing 5 of every blue gem, or alternatively the yellow ones. Red seem pretty common most of the time. Maybe I just don't spend enough. Also, she still needs 12 shells per skill. Holy shit, delay work. Stop. I know it's a summer material, but stop. Fucking stop, please. Oh my god, you're killing me. You're killing me with shells. Now, as you can expect from the banner SSR, she not only appears in the normal rate-ups of those below her, but you can also get your fair share of additional lucky bag appearances, but no other standard appearances apart from that. She hasn't been on like a weird million downloads or anything, as far as I found anyway. I could be wrong. You never know. Sometimes my information's a little out of date. But we are looking 2 years in the future, so hopefully this is the wiggle room you need. And yeah, that's everybody. As usual, Summers offer some unique mechanics, obviously, as seen by the fact that Summer Artoria gets a buff in the future. They're not always perfect, but you can definitely do some interesting combos with all these units. You can do some fun stuff, and, you know, they've got great designs. So you can try some stuff, do some interesting things. Experiment a little. Wrinkle your brains up. And that's going to be the video, though. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to give this video a like if you liked it. Leave any comments you have down below. Love to hear from y'all. And, of course, if you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe to the channel to get more Wanted. And our regular podcast, Let's Talk FGO, comes out every week. Talk about new servants, news, strategies, tips, take your questions from the mailbag, and more. It's great. Check it out if you haven't already. And even if you're already subscribed, make sure to always hit that bell so you always know when we post a new video or when we stream. For instance, if Omega has to post this in the middle of the night tonight, you might want an alert knowing that it got live. Since, you know, a lot of people swear by Wanted as a catalyst for their roles, just saying. Also, consider supporting us on Patreon for as little as $5 a month. You can get access to this video early. You can get audio downloads of our podcast for less. Take it on the go with you. Put it in your pocket. And lots of other goodies, and it really helps us out. And consider, you know, throwing us a super thanks or something, too, if you found this cool. Like if you didn't have to spend any of your quartz money because you watched Wanted. Give me $5. That's like getting your wife. I'm kidding. But it is a new feature, and I thought I would, you know, bring it up to people. Anyway, that's the video. Be sure to go back and check out the previous Wanted on Summers if you haven't already, and then stay tuned for whoever our next SSR is. I think it's a little loosey-goosey in there. It might be Space Ishtar. I have to double-check the schedule. Thanks so much for tuning in, as always. I will see you next time.